For someone on my card, this is your host, Gaddafi Manafi. Welcome to Attention Show, the voice of the entertainment industry, where I always promise to deliver you relevant information pertaining the industry, education, information, entertainment, and of course, what is Gaddafi Manafi without a pinch of controversy. Today, I am bringing you one of my ish guys. Because like I always bring people that I come a long way with, and people that I've learned a lot from them. People think ukuthi mina ngiphaphele industry ukuthi mina ngiyakhuluma nje kodwa mina khona abantu engibaziyo, people that I learn from, people that I've been looking up to. And today I am so honored to speak to one of them, namhlanje. Without any further ado, let me bring him in. SIPHO MABENA. Hello, my brother.
Hello. Hey, how are you, sister?
How you doing? I'm good. How are you?
I'm all kinds of good. And your side? And hello to the viewers as well.
Thanks. Yes. Hello to everyone. Thank you, man, for making time for us and welcome to Attention.
It's all a pleasure.
It's an honor that you uhlala busy usendaweni, you travel the world, and so it's an honor for me to have you here.
Oh, it's all my pleasure. Thanks.
Yeah. By means of introduction, or SIPHO MABENA, you'll correct me if I'm wrong. But SIPHO MABENA is a musician. He's a you're a songwriter as well, right?
Yes, that's correct.
Yes, producer, music director, blah blah blah. But he's a bassist, one of my dopest bassists that I know. And I like asking this question just to crack the ice, to break the ice. How was COVID period for you? Did it mess up your plans, or did it distract you? And what lessons did you learn from that period?
I think for me, COVID was a bittersweet period in my life. The bitterness was, yes, one had a lot of plans, and all those were disrupted. Like it really threw us off mentally, physically, financially, above everything financially, and even in terms of, it literally brought a lot of awakening to us. But the bad things is financially, it really, really, really killed us. Even till today, we haven't actually fully recovered from it because things haven't opened. Yes, for a lot of people, things have opened. For different industries, things have opened. But for us, not fully, because we're still not doing big concerts. And a lot of us used to do a lot of outdoor concerts. Your festivals, like probably every weekend, you add some festival, and those are usually annual festivals. So you kind of already knew how to map up your year, and you knew that in May there are these festivals that I'm probably going to be playing for X amount of artists. In June, in August, in December, these are the primary festivals that you always knew that, okay, I can always bag on those. But all of that has literally gone down the drain. But the flip side of COVID is it has brought an awakening to us of, sure, where are we in the food chain? It literally taught us that, wow. And it actually took us out of our comfort zones. It challenged us financially as well, in terms of how do we handle our monies. Because now, even though one had savings, definitely did run dry, because 2 years, your savings, well, for some of us, didn't last for 2 years.
Yeah.
And we
Yeah.
were trying to find different means and trying to explore different things. So that was the positive aspect of COVID. And to a degree, I'm grateful for COVID. As painful as it
Yeah.
was, it really taught us to stretch ourselves and explore more, because we get so stuck in the fact that I'm a bass player, I'm so busy. And sometimes you are too busy to actually try new things. You are too busy to crack your shell and look at the world around you and what's happening, because you are always busy. You're on the
Yeah.
road. If you are back, you are doing recordings. If you're in studio sessions,
Mm-hmm.
so you get so caught up in your world. And sometimes it might seem big to you, but it's actually very little world. And COVID proved it to us that it's very little, because as huge as it is, the importance of it was shown to us that actually, in terms of needs, you are down there.
Yeah.
See you guys. Now, everything else was skyrocketing as much as we were plunging down. So it really took us out of our shells. A lot of us started thinking, actually, now, let me try new things. Actually, let me try writing music. Let me try recording my own music.
Yeah.
Let me buy studio equipment. Like, it stretched us, all of us. And it also gave us an opportunity to tap into our full potential, because most of the time as humans, we don't maximize our full potential, because you get so caught up in your world that we like, I don't have time. But actually, you do. And it made you realize and prioritize what's actually important. Yes, kumnandi
Yeah.
check and all that. You want to check and be the best, but does it correlate with the FNP?
For people who don't know SIPHO, who don't know
Yes.
SIPHO MABENA, like, where were you born? Where were you raised? And to your education level. Sazi ukuthi sonke we are not, all of us that are in Joburg, we are not from Joburg. Svela somewhere, you know. So who is SIPHO in a nutshell?
Me, in a nutshell, technically, I'm a Gauteng person. I'm a Joburg person. Angiyehli, anginyuki, angiyemaceleni eSwaziland, Northwest. I'm like literally here. So I was actually born in Springs. Yeah, I was born in Springs. I lived in Guatemala until I was the age of 2. Then from 2, I moved with my parents. We went to live at Vosloorus. Vosloorus, I attended primary school at Alberton Primary, and then Germiston High. Then when I was in grade 10, I moved to Summer Park, and that's when we moved as a family. I studied at Summer Park High. So I'm an East Rand boy through and through. So that's after school.
Yeah.
From high school, I went to study music. And it was actually a conflict, because primarily I wanted to become either an architect, firstly. If that
Nice.
fails, I wanted to be a civil engineer. But then music came into the picture when I was really young, actually. I think at age 16, 15,
Yeah.
age 15, I started picking up the instrument,
Yeah.
and that was from a church perspective. So from there, went to high school, but from high school went tertiary. Tertiary, I went to TUT. My playing was great, but then they were like, your theory. I had no experience in terms of theory, musical theory.
Yeah.
Then I started an access course. Access course helps you to go into first year so that they can speed up your theory element of things. Went into that, did that year, then I went to starting my first year up until my diploma stage. After that, I went and I graduated, I think 2010, with at TUT, the music department, where I studied jazz,
Yeah.
majored in jazz. From there, I moved, and that was kind of about it. I've done a couple of courses here and there after that are
Yeah.
not music related.
Yeah. And how did you break into the industry for you to, where you started now working in the industry? Who gave you that break?
Yo, my story is literally God's plan, because it was an environment that I was in, and a fortunate one. The East Rand was so rich in music, especially gospel
Yeah.
music.
It
So
still is though.
definitely true story,
Yeah.
true story.
Yeah.
Because I was introduced by church. I come from Mount Tourism. That's where I grew up, and we had one of the best musicians there, like in the industry, people who were already in the industry. So I was singing in the choir. I don't know what happened to my voice now because I had a crispy voice when we were still singing in choirs. Siko Gista White, Sky S-Can. Tula what Port Franklin. Massey Choir. Ulithaning Khamani.
Yes.
So I was exposed to great musicians about Dr. Mdlula, about Kiki Xolo, and some of the band members that used to play for Tandi Somazwai, they were in my church. So as we watched, I was always at church. I'm a pastor's kid. So I was in the
Oh, you're
choir.
a
If not, I was in
PK.
Sunday school. Yes, I'm a PK.
Okay.
So it
Wow.
was
Yes.
under the anointing.
Yeah.
So church boy.
Yeah, I see
So
that. I see.
yes. So what would happen is I actually fell in love with the bass guitar from watching Ulund. Lund used to play for Abo Vuyo Mukwena, some at some point about Joyous, I mean African Flair, a whole lot of
Yeah.
artists Abontando, all over the country, all artists you knew. And I was like, yo, the bass guitar is amazing. I was like, this instrument. But then when I think music lessons started opening, there's a school that was opened by a guy called Tebucho, 60. He still has the academy actually going now. He started off with us and the youth, we were all young. We were like 15. That's where even Abotiniko, Abos Pio, we were all studying together at the same time. And
Yeah.
first I had to learn the piano. I was like, this thing, I'm not rocking with it. Then I picked up the bass. He was like, around, I see find the major scale. And I found it. And from there onwards, he started teaching me like one, two numbers and stuff like that. And from that, my dad bought me a bass guitar. I think I was around 15. And
Wow.
I sat with that thing. I said, Bengtandi Strata from Lapo no more Strata, which actually helped.
Yeah.
Because muntu akalastarha sasemncane. Very lastarha. And the culture in the East Rand is there were a whole lot of church shows, like a whole lot, like every month there was a church show, and you'd find yourself playing for your choir. And churches were so united at that time. There was your choirs and there were your groups. You'd find yourself playing for a couple of groups. So there was just a culture, an environment, a vibrant environment of music,
Yeah.
and all of us we just loved music. So from there, I was able to learn and actually start playing with other people. And then my actual break was Temba Masino was in my church at the time, the great drummer.
Yeah. Yeah.
He was like, bro, I love you playing. Actually, there's an opportunity for you. He actually started me off with Taps David. It was like, there's an opening, man. Come, let's go play with Taps David. It was that
Yeah.
time, that era. I think that was my first gig. My Tola 400, Cape Town. That's like 2005. 400 rand. Somebody micro
Yeah.
pass. 4 days long. For one gig. Sibuya kude, guys. Njengoba sesi-invoice kangaka. Sibuya kude.
I was about to say that it makes sense why you're so strict with business.
Yo, sikhathele manje. Yo. Guys,
No. Yes.
saqala sibancane. And from there onwards, I think I did 2 gigs with him. Temba also was like, hey, man, there's an opening. At that time, Rixie was playing for Benjamin Dube, and he was in and out of the country. So he's like, actually, there's an opening. Come play with the bishop. I was like, all right, cool. Actually, did my first gig with the bishop when I was 17. And that very same year was actually the first time I went on an airplane, and we did a tour in the UK for like 2 weeks with Bishop Benjamin Dube. So that's how my break came about. from there, I started also working with your Vuyo Mukwenas, a whole lot of people in the industry, and I was still in high school. From there onwards, it was matric time when I was 18. My parents were like, "No, every weekend you're not here. When are you gonna study? Stop this music thing." Hey, and now you're also used to the co-op. So I was like, okay, let me take a break.
Yeah,
let me take a break. I only survived like 3 months. I'm like, no, this can't be. And then that's actually when I got introduced to commercial music. Commercial music, it was very dry cut. There's not too much raising, not too much traveling on the road. You start flying now. I actually got an opportunity to play for ETS Records, all the artists under the stable. So at that time, it was Robbie Maling, Sinetemba, it was Stila Bontando, and all those people. So in matric, that's when I got even started working with Usomizi. Somizi was releasing his album, and he had a whole lot of shows that he was curating. So then I got introduced to the commercial world, and
the bugs.
Yeah, because then you do awards with so easy. Imagine from 400, now you're going to getting an envelope with just 7,000 for playing 2 songs. And that was in matric. I'm like, commercial. Let's rock.
Yeah. I was about to ask you, how did you, like, why did you then, if you grew up gospel, like, why did you then, because we met when you were more on the commercial. I didn't even see you in any space in the gospel space, So, but it makes sense then, hore, more money on the other side than this side. Are you still playing in the gospel genre though?
Weird enough, since COVID, primarily most of my money I've been making in the gospel scene in terms of recordings and going back actually working with gospel artists. And it's not something I went after, it just came to me. And I'm like, actually, it's God's plan because a lot of things in the commercial industry, because commercial is big numbers because of everything works around advertising, funding. So you can't just fund for restricted places and it will be like, yo, we're going to be doing super spreaders. But the gospel, a lot of gospel artists were recording. So one was in the studio a lot. A lot of gospel artists were doing your church, small church things, So that really helped one pull through. And a lot of studio sessions, because a lot of gospel artists were just recording in the studios, trying different concepts. So technically, me going back, because I had completely closed off, actually, even doing gospel recordings, I had closed off. And the reason behind why I had stopped is it came to a point whereby it was becoming monotonous because the real reality is the new artists aren't lyrically that strong, and most of them actually don't come with new songs, and most of them are afraid to do new songs. So they'll come and like come with traditional songs, and with that, hey, imagine you've recorded a song already yourself for 3 other artists, and that song has been recorded. Maybe Pega's already recorded it twice. Kulerana's already recorded it twice. What are you gonna say now? Because they want it to sound different, but there's nothing different. Lyrically, there's nothing different. They're not using a different approach. They're singing it the same. The backings are the same. So it became very strenuous in terms of how do we grow? How do we go forward? And I felt like I was in a, when you're locked in, I'm like, there's no growth anymore for me here. In terms of, and the problem is the new artists are the ones that actually play nicely because they save up and call you and be like, how much do you charge? And you be like, this amount. And they hold you at a certain caliber. They'll be like, okay, definitely. As we're known gospel artists, it's always going to be little. Because there's always that favor thing involved as well. You've got a relationship, so there's an understanding and you understand also their struggles in the industry, so the new ones will, trust me, they pay.
So you did a project le Nano, is it Nano? What's the song? Konke kundlulile. What's her name? The new gospel lady. She's doing gospel now. You didn't do
You know,
any.
you know what's the tricky thing as well?
Yeah.
There are a lot of songs I've recorded that I do not know about. I won't lie
Okay.
to
So
you. Let me explain how. Half of the songs I've
yes.
actually recorded, I do not know who the artist, because producers will do pre-production, right? Then they'll
Yes.
call us into studio. We charge whatever we have to charge, and we're gonna fix our paperwork in terms of royalties, in terms of needle time and write down our things. But then that's the last time I do my session. It might take a day, it might take two. And that's the end of it. I don't even know who the artist is sometimes. And sometimes it finds you in a financial strain, but you don't even care. You're like, listen, studio session, this is how much I want.
Yeah.
And if my requirements are met, I'm like, let's rock. And sometimes
Yeah.
most of the albums don't even make it. So
Mm.
there'll be songs out there, tons. I won't lie to you. I'll be listening to it. I'm like, I'm man. I feel like this is deja vu. What's happening? And no, it's not deja vu. You literally know your hands. I'm like, no, man, this is actually me. And then you're
Yeah.
thinking, which studio session was it? Oh, it was
Mm.
Ban Ban. Then you make that call to the producer. Hey, this song. They're like, oh no, it's this and this artist. They're like, hey, son, okay.
Yeah. Wow. So
Yes.
um, do you still work with Ringo, or did that stop? I mean, that's the platform that I met you on, and for me, you seemed like you were having so much fun and fun because you were
Yo,
playing
yo,
bass
yo.
and you were singing at the same time. You know.
Yes, I won't lie to you. Out of all the gigs I've ever had in my life, that
Mm.
has been the top gig I ever had. It
Yeah.
was so much fun. It was so relaxed. It was paying. That's the highest paying artist I've worked with actually, in terms of
Wow.
gig. And it was like you knew that you had an X amount monthly, and it was really nice and very
Mm.
little work to do. So the
Mm.
environment was very relaxed.
Mm.
We just how much fun we have. We always even forget that we had a gig or we had to do work. You realize
Yeah.
when you're like, guys, 5 minutes go on stage, you're like, oh, Gonji, I'm here for a gig. And what happens off stage reflects on stage, and it was just the synergy of the musicians that we were together and the love we had for each other and still have. It was a beautiful setting. The gig, I think I worked with Ringo for 6 years.
Mm.
Then I think 2017, that's when I
Mm.
stopped working with him. 2018, that's when I stopped working
Mm.
with him. Yeah,
Mm.
I think the entire band we just dismantled. Yeah,
Mm.
there comes a time where we need to part ways.
Yes, yes,
Engapheli
absolutely.
yahlola. Engapheli
But
yahlola.
you were a great band. I mean, you played so well together. It's like you didn't the synergy, the energy that you brought on stage. Like you could see you know each other so well. You connected so well. So and that energy it also fed onto his performance and also to to the crowd. So I personally I enjoyed all your performances, especially with Oprah. So let's
Oh,
speak
thank you.
about the music business side. I mean, whenever we have conversations, you always emphasize about the significance of, um, taking your talent as business. If we can, just get into that. So with you, how did you how because of course you go to school, right? You study
Yes,
music, but they don't teach you how to do business, with your
that's
talent.
true.
How
Yeah.
did you as SIPHO get into it?
Uh, in SA, it's very tricky. The music business element, especially as a session player, because firstly, there are no foundations set.
Yeah.
There's nothing. If they are, they don't function. They just on paper. It's
Mm,
like the music industry. Ubupanzula nje.
mm,
It's a rough cut industry because the mafias ensure that things don't happen the way you guys want them to, and
mm,
they instill on the top artist and it silvers down, taller. So the only way we can actually change the industry and how I got about to be where I am right now was I have to do it for myself. I think change starts with self, and that way, and by not compromising yourself, I made a decision very early because I won't lie to you, I've been exploited, inside out. Ga batho ba ne bang enjoya batho ne bang jaka papa but sipho mnate yong. It's a especially because luckily for me I started working with giants in the industry when I was young, so I was exposed when I was young, so it helped me not to be starstruck. One, two, I didn't need a platform or the opportunity. A lot of people may not come from Joburg and may not be fortunate as I was, in terms of surroundings and environment and being exposed to the industry at such a young age. A lot of people go to school first, and after that, they're already adults. They need to start working, and they are hungry as well because now they have to fend for themselves, and it's cutthroat. Like, you're gonna be hey, they're gonna use you, young Tola, and you have to sell yourself short. But I was exposed to that at a very young age, and all that happened to me. And one day I made a decision. Even that's why I stopped even working in the gospel industry. That I am tired. I was trying to forecast in terms of how am I going to get to where I want to be? How am I going to drive the car I want? How am I going to live in the house that I want? And I saw that in order for that to happen, certain things need to stop, and only I can stop them. Complaining to the next person doesn't work. Only literally I can stop them. So already I had this thing of now I session. I don't primarily work for anyone.
Yeah.
So then you can't box me and be like, yeah, but I'm no longer a band.
Yeah.
When you call me, you book me. When you call me and you say, band I'm like, let's stop it right there. Band my band. Who are those? I am not that. These are my fees. This is my rate. And if you're comfortable, let's rock. And they'll be like, no, it's too much. Shut or continue wherever. And at some point, they'll see you and like, hey, we need this guy. Come in, be like, hey, actually, can you please? And this is the inside secret. That's why I never have band meetings. When they call me, they'll be like, hey, this is how much we offer. I'm like, I don't want that. Give me the amount. They'll be like, okay, but please don't tell the band. I'm like, it's not my band.
Yeah.
I don't do caucuses, me. I speak because as well, as even if we're in a band, it's like even in the corporate, you guys can be doing the same job but not earning the same because to some degree we're not bringing the same value. People just focus on the talent, but sometimes people just come to a show because I'm there. People come to a show because this drama is there, or people will be like, oh, the artist in a band, these kind of people. Actually, this is serious. We want to go see. We want to download this album. So as musicians, we also need to learn to not downplay ourselves and literally know our worth, because yes, an artist is big, but they are not there by themselves. We create the sound, and that's why an artist can change musicians, and it'll be like, hey, it sounds funky, man. It's not the one, but it is because the artist is there. So we also need to learn our worth as musicians. And that's where I started off. And I've learned to, firstly, be professional in everything we do. Honor your word. That's how it starts. It starts with you. You need to fix yourself first. When people see you, they must know this guy will always be on time. This guy will arrive with gear that works. This guy will not be at the gig and always be drunk or whatever. Like, this guy will always look good on stage. You need to package and brand yourself firstly, and then people will take you seriously. So when they call you, they know, this guy is going to charge us, but we will not have problems with this guy. We will not be calling this guy, where are you? We will not be like, where are your clothes? Why are you dressed like this? We will not be calling this guy, you are dysfunctional. Or calling this guy, he's always complaining or conspiring, all sort of those things. It starts with you actually becoming the brand. And as soon as you become that established, people, when they call you, they'll literally take you seriously.
Mm.
I could even ask someone, where did you get my number?
Mm. Mm.
Coming
Wow.
with that, because some people will be like, calling me, I have a gig, I'm paying this much. I'm like, where did you get my number?
Mm.
What did that person tell you about? Did you research firstly? And it's not one being pompous. It's just, you can't just call and be like, hey, 150. Don't get me wrong. And there was a time where I was doing 150, but there's a time for growth. So even with that having been established, is setting your things right as well, having a business registered, even in terms of your books, you know, having someone that's going to attack practitioner that's going to also help you with your books, because that's very important. You'll do a lot of gigs with, especially white people. They charge tax. You'll get gigs whereby you need to have a tax number. You need to have a business entity to, so that if you want to pay your own VAT, you can do that yourself, you know. So such small things take you literally a long way, because you need to have your books in order. There are gigs you won't be able to do if, let's say, you don't have a company registered, and your taxes, like if you want to work in theater, your taxes have to be in order. And sometimes if it's not your strong point, like for me, accounting and all that is not my strong point. Hence, I have to pay monthly. I have to pay someone so that my books, end of the year, I'm tax compliant. Because above everything, musicians, we love to live in our own world as if, no, we get a whole lot of money cash, or we get what. There's no one deducting my tax, so you feel like, I'll get away, and you'll get away with it for years.
Yeah.
For a couple of years. And now when I tried to be tax compliant, they were like, hey, sir, you've been earning for X amount of time. Where's the money? We're fining you. And I had to pay a whole lot of tax before my things became right. And it's also about positioning yourself in terms of, in order to grow, you need to literally, if you're a musician, open a business. Register a company and run your life through that, so that you know that you're giving yourself a salary month end, and also that will help you with things of life, because we as musicians always struggle to get houses, to get cars. We never qualify, but we make a lot of money than some people. But some people on the spot, they're instantly qualified because of the security. So a lesson that I've learned is that we need to create our own security. People that are employed, the security is created for them. But you have to literally realize now that you are the employer, and you're employing yourself, and you need to create the security so that you can even monitor in terms of how you run your finances, that you don't find yourself running short this month, because there are months where we make a lot, like double your average. Then there'll be a month where you're making way less. So then if you learn to create a budget and start paying yourself out, you even look good in your books, because as musicians, I won't lie to you, we really struggle. And the banks are set to literally put us down. They would say, you are high risk, brother. You are an extreme high risk. So the business element is getting your books in order, registering with Sambro, registering with Sampra, ensuring that your ducks are in row. And when the opportunity finds you, it finds you ready. Because most of the time you'll find that they're like, actually, do you have a company? Can you take this gig? Which happens sometimes with even me. They're like, actually, can you just run this gig? Can you hire sound? Can you just hire lighting? Do AV? Can you book the musicians? Those opportunities do avail themselves, and they need to literally find you ready. And you need to be registered and make sure that you are tax compliant and everything. Because when those big entities find you, if you are not ready and you are trying to run around, and you must make sure your CSD, everything is in order. By the time the opportunity avails itself, it finds you ready. Paperwork is hard for us, because most of the time, admin and paperwork is very hard. I won't lie to you. It's even hard for me, but you have to force yourself to ensure that you're always in right standing with everything, because opportunity always finds us, but it always finds us not ready. We end up giving it to someone like, hey, Shipana, company, it takes, I'm not tax clearance. Hey, then that person's in the forefront. Guess what? They're going to take the gig. The client's going to be like, this person is not ready. This person is not ready for this opportunity.
And that's where you lose growth,
Exactly.
to grow. So for you, what lessons, I'm sure, like we spoke about what you studied at school, and we also spoke about now the business side. What lessons have you learned about the industry? And I'm talking about the challenges that you face on a daily basis within the industry that school didn't teach you. So, any challenges that you still face, I'm sure there's ones that you have conquered due to growth.
Mm.
But any lessons that school didn't teach you that you have learned?
Yeah, hey, you see with the school element, firstly, I was I was in the commercial industry, I was in the gospel industry. Actually, I was
Yeah.
just fresh from gospel. So commercial I'm still learning, and commercial is simple, especially if you're a musician that started with gospel.
Mm,
The thing with school was they introduced jazz to me. It was unfamiliar, and
yeah.
school was hard because of that. My playing was at par, so it made things easier. I could play most things because some things you can kind of interlink with gospel, but you learn the theoretical things, you learn the what. But then the biggest challenge for me is I'm learning all this jazz, but come weekend, I'm playing gospel, I'm playing commercial music, I'm reading music. Weekend, Sepanzule. Like
Mm,
school makes you so technical and it prepares you. It's like a clinical environment and a corporate environment. Like if you're gonna work with a lot of white people, school
mm,
is amazing because white people they chart things down. Even
yeah.
black people, depending on artists and all that, you get me. But I was coming back to when you come back out of school, Pilla, you do a 2 hour rehearsal and
Mm,
you can run like 10 songs. Whereas in
mm,
the industry now, there are no songs, they give you the songs as they are, or
mm,
even not, you're gonna come and land them there, and then they're gonna
mm,
be improvisations and all that, and there are no charts, and you have to rest the entire week, which was time wasting. And it
mm,
was so difficult for me to merge the two worlds up until I was like, actually, let me start getting gigs in the gospel industry, in the jazz industry. And it
mm,
became nice, but to some degree, the jazz was a bit tricky for me. I love jazz, but I didn't fully resonate with it, in
mm,
terms of being a jazz cat to a degree. I just wanted to be an all rounder whereby I can do most gigs, which is what I do now. You'll find me in the
yeah.
jazz, you'll find me in commercial, you'll find me in gospel, which actually helps you because there are seasons for all those different genres,
Mm,
and it doesn't box you as well. It's easier to call you to a gig awards because in awards you'll find there'll be a jazz artist, and if there's an in-house band, you'll find there's jazz artists, there's gospel artists, and there's commercial, there's hip hop guys. So now it's
yeah.
tricky because they must find someone that can all round do that. So those were one of the challenges, and school kind of broke down because of our lectures. It broke down your moral, and it kind of makes you feel that you're not good enough, you
Mm,
know and it breaks you to an extent where you build a mentality of trying to prove points. So that's why there's that mindset and mentality in school: who's the best one, who's the best one. So you guys are competing and you're losing the true essence of that. Actually, you did this because of you learned a song,
mm,
and music is a song. We lose that element. You focus only on the instrument, and you find it hard to come back and be able to play normal music
yeah.
because it's too simple. But
Yeah.
what actually brought you to school? The simple stuff is the songs you were singing, it's the hits, for some
Yeah.
of us. Luckily, some people grew up with jazz, and jazz now it's a continuation for them. But for some of us, it was a different world. So
Yeah.
those were the fights that was happening. And when I was in school, I was interacting with a lot of people. There were gigs we were doing, and I learned a lot of professionalism. And
Mm,
in the real world, there's no professionalism.
mm,
You find that in this world, things are in order. Your rehearsal fees
yeah.
X amount. There are contracts, and you find in your world, the commercial world, there are no contracts. They're telling you, hey,
Mm,
make gig, need 40, and that's it. No deposit, no
yeah.
nothing. Whereas
Yeah.
people who went to school and are doing a certain genre of music, they're like, okay, here's your contract, here's your deposit, you are booked. This is where you'll be sleeping way before you even rehearse. you know and that was the
True.
tricky part. the tricky part, trying to fuse. And now you're learning so many things from school that you have to have contracts, and you come back to this world and you're like, okay, you want a recording? I want to protect myself. Here's my contract. And people are like, yeah, Baba, don't come with your contracts here, man. I just we'll pay you after. I'm like, no. Contracts. I will pay you after, Baba. I have the man. Yo. It was a different world. Like, the school teaches you to be so clinical and so professional, and then you come to the actual industry, whereby the people that actually have a lot of gigs. I'm a bantu, you know. And you're like, guys, I'm gigs a weekend. They pay you 3. You do next week 3. They pay you 2. Now you're like, ah, man, there's a like these people are in areas to me. And you can't fight it.
Yeah.
Even in terms of broadcasting rights, you know,
Some
entities will pay you. Mafela bateba basa record. That's it. Knife fee.
Yeah.
So you have all this knowledge that is a reality, and you go into this world, and none of it applies. No one wants to apply it. Read you hard enough, they'll take you aside and be like, okay, with you, we'll give you this money, we'll do this. Yes, we'll sign your contract. But they literally have to need you.
Yeah.
Like, there must be no one that can actually do what you do.
He must be in demand.
Yeah, it's like you learn all these stuff that look so nice that you feel are gonna protect me and cover me. And in the real world, it's like, nah, nothing of that. Nothing of that. And now you're dealing with artists, which are another dynamic. Because in school there are no artists. All artists for me, they've got their different craze. And I guess that's what makes them unique. They all do different things differently. So you're gonna have to adapt with, okay, low sihlangela kanje, or low emotional unjena, or low unenkinga yemali. This one has a problem, with always being late. This one has a problem of alcohol and gets crazy when they're drunk. So there are so many things that don't prepare you, even from school, going into the world, because you come out with this huge, I have a degree in what.
Yeah.
But people in the commercial industry, when they arrive with their degree, there's HR already to protect them.
Yes.
Then you are going to artists, they'll be like, hey, where do you think you are?
So there's a young person out there who's looking up to you. You know, they see you on stage and doing your thing. And they aspire to do what you do. What advice would you give to them? And also, to bearing in mind, also to a parent of that child, because you know how messed up industry it is, to a point that abazali, they don't see this industry as something you can, make a career out of it. So what advice would you give to the parent and that child who aspires to be you and
I
do what
think
you
the
do?
first thing for me is map out, map out what you want to become. Have a vision and forecast it and lay it down on a business plan. Those are one of the mistakes we didn't do because of where we grew up. We grew up whereby you had to prove yourself first. You know, you had to be validated. You are good enough, firstly, to play for an artist, yet alone become one. But things have changed so much. Like, the world is our oyster right now. Like, the world is so big. We were so boxed in our mindsets. Like, even now, we are literally trying to rehabilitate ourselves from the mindsets that were instilled vigorously into us. Like, we were brainwashed to some degree. The young cats, I call them the young cats. Literally, all things are possible for them. You know, the first thing is see themselves as artists. We firstly saw ourselves as instrumentalists that are going to be validated. You're going to play for artists for 10 years. Then after 10 years, then you're going to record an album, and an album must be ready. And by that time, you're just filled with fear because you've heard all sorts of negative things and you've seen your colleagues fail, you know? So the first thing is school is important. I won't lie. Our current climate, balance it with something. Music can be a career. Definitely. You could definitely make it a primary career. But always be creating your own stuff. Create your own music. See yourself as a brand. Instrument. Work on your image. Work on your sound. Study. Graduate. And by the time you graduate, start recording stuff and releasing. You know, like start recording. As much as you're going to work with people, start recording stuff and releasing, which is a mistake with us that we did because we thought, and we still filled with fear. I won't lie to you. It's like I have stuff that's recorded now, but in my head, I'm still planning the biggest release. And actually, things don't work like that. Just put it out there to the universe, and God will take care of the rest.
True. Actually, that was my next question. You know, can we expect any project coming from you? Because I mean, it would be so dope to, you know, get something from you, man.
Yes, there's actually a couple of projects. COVID, we were busy. I think there were 3 bands I was in. All those we're gonna release. It's instrumental bands we're gonna be releasing this year. And then my personal project, I'm literally in the recording stages now. It's gonna be coming out in the next 2-3 months. I'm waiting for some. For the one back to my best. In terms of the strategic planning.
And what genre? What genre are you? Or are you tapping into all genres?
It's not going to be gospel. It's tricky actually. For me, it's going to be world music because that's where I want to position myself.
Nice.
South Africa has failed me, and the live scene is literally suffering in SA right now. It's coming back, but Yoyanos hip hop are just taking over, and you can't fight it. All you have to do now is position yourself and find your voice in it. But primarily, what I'm going to release is a more world sound. It's African infused with a couple of European elements here. You know, and your West African sounds from influences from your Richard Bona. But when you listen to it, you won't be able to like, that's South Africa. It's not gonna be hardcore kwasa, but there are all kinds of. It's for me. It's gonna be an album that is gonna literally relay or paint a canvas of my journey in music and the music that resonates with me. So there's gonna be a whole lot of African that might sound African elements, but sound very world, new sounds. It's gonna be young. My sound is gonna be literally young. That's where I see things going, and that's where things are going, and it's literally gonna be a reflection of how I see music now and how I feel. So it's tricky to box it. It's not gonna be jazz. It's got jazz elements. It's got African elements a lot. A bit of gospel harmonies here and there. All different kind of songs in the album, but it's a song that you could listen. It's an album that driving down to Cape Town, looking at the sunset, you'll be rocking it and be like, yeah, this is the one.
Yeah.
No,
I can't wait to that release, and
definitely.
You know, I'll be doing your PR for free. That's how much I'm looking forward to it.
That's planned.
Social media pages, where can we find you? I know you do corporate gigs, so when people want to book you for those gigs, where can they find you?
They can find me on my personal page on Facebook. It's gonna be Spola. It's SIPHO MABENA actually on Facebook. I've got a Facebook page, and then on Instagram it's Spola de Menzo. On Twitter it's SIPHO MABENA. And then my email address is info@benito.co.za for bookings. Benito is
Benito.
BENITO Productions.co.za for bookings.
All right, cool.
Yes.
And you don't have any contact number for that, just email, right?
It's email, and the contact number will be 078 437 5189.
5189. All right,
and another
great.
thing that we're doing in terms of my company is we supply sound, we supply bands, we customize bands for any sort of event, whether it's a wedding, whether even a funeral, whether it's a church service, whether it's a corporate event. We've been doing a couple of those things now with some of my partners. We've been supplying bands for malls, supplying bands for corporate events. So that's a big thing that's actually growing on our side in terms of my company. So that's another thing that's happening now. And to everyone out there, if you need a band, if you just need strings, call me. I'll definitely hook it up.
Yeah, sure. If you have a poster, for that, I mean, if you can create a poster, I personally can share it all the time because I mean, your services are required all the time. I know when I used to do the corporate gigs, that's what was required. Each and every week, actually, you get a gig. And
yes, I'll actually send my business card. It has all the information right there. Yes.
Great. Any message to Unathi Mthethwa before we close?
To Unathi Mthethwa?
Yes.
That guy is on voicemail for me. So that guy doesn't even know me. The biggest thing, like, if we are in the forefront, like in sports, he knows Abo Kune, he knows about everyone. The people that are in the forefront, that guy doesn't even know some of the big artists that are in the forefront. So how will someone that doesn't know you serve you? And someone that bumps into you all the time, to actually reach the person and to actually be like, hey, if there's an interest, they would know us.
Yeah.
Even in their offices.
Absolutely.
Even they don't even know us.
So your ultimate goal. What happened?
I don't know. You got stuck. I don't know if it's network. Well, I'm not load shedding, by God's grace.
How about you?
How, Mara? When I behave, right? Yeah, mislead. That's mislead again. Yeah, so my message to Nathi Mthethwa would be, get to know us, please. We are not your friends. You are serving us. Get to know us.
Okay.
Who are you gonna serve if you don't know them? Who are you serving?
Thank you guys for watching. I think the network is terrible on the other side.
Oh yeah.
Thank you, SIPHO.
Thank you so much for that.
On the other side.
What you wanna know, what you wanna hear, what you wanna boy, let her do it for you. It's attention. What you wanna know, what you wanna hear, what you wanna boy, let her do it for you.
Thank you guys for watching.